When most people think of Muharram clothing, they think of black. But if you look at old photographs from Lucknow, Hyderabad, and different families across South Asia, you'll notice something unusual. Men weren't wearing simple black shirts or shalwar kameez, they were wearing sherwanis. Long, elegant coats associated with nawabs, poets, and court culture in India. So how did this elegant garment associated with royalty become one of the most recognizable symbols of mourning in South Asia? And why did Shia communities across the subcontinent end up dressing so different from one another in the month of Muharram? To answer that question, we have to go back to the city that transformed Muharram into an entire cultural world, Lucknow. In the 1700s and 1800s, Lucknow was the capital of the kingdom of Awadh. Its rulers, the Nawabs of Awadh, were Shia Muslims who poured a lot of money into Muharram commemorations. They built grand Imam Bargas, sponsored majalis, and patronized poets. They turned the remembrance of Karbala into one of the most defining features of public life. The people leading gatherings weren't only religious scholars. They were poets, intellectuals, aristocrats, and literary giants. And that literary world had its own visual language. The sherwani itself emerged from North India during the late Mughal and Awadh periods. It was influenced by Persian robes, Central Asian garments, and Indian tailoring traditions, and by the 19th century, it had become a formal dress of the Muslim elites. If you were a nobleman, a government official, a landowner, a poet, or someone attached to the court, chances are you owned a sherwani. Think of it as the equivalent of a tailored suit today. And because Muharram in Lucknow was one of the most important public events of the year, many participants naturally attended majalis dressed in their finest formal attire. Over time, the sherwani became associated not just with status, but respect for the occasion itself. No figures embodied this world more than the great Marsiya poets of Lucknow, Mir Anis or Mirza Dabir. The image of the Marsiya Khan, the reciter standing before the audience, elegantly dressed in traditional attire, became deeply embedded in the public imagination. Over time, the image of the poet, the zakir, and the educated Shia gentleman became tied to the image of the sherwani. And the thing that's interesting is not every Shia community in South Asia adopted this style. In fact, Muharram clothing varied across South Asia. In rural areas, people often wore whatever they already owned. Simple cotton kurtas, plain white garments, which is why in a lot of photos and juluses, you'll see people wearing white instead of black in earlier time. In South Asia, white had been associated with mourning in a lot of areas. Black mourning clothing became more widespread in the late 19th and 20th centuries as connections with Iran, Iraq, and the wider Shia community spread. Gradually, black became the dominant visual symbol of grief. And that's what makes Muharram in South Asia so fascinating, is that the story of Karbala is shared, but the way that people express that story through poetry, language, and even clothing can look drastically different from one city to the next. And sometimes something as simple as a sherwani can tell us the entire story of empire, literature, class, and devotion.